we're heading to Kenya, where the future of an orphaned baby elephant hangs in the balance. For nearly 40 years, the David Sheldrick Elephant Orphanage outside Nairobi has been rearing orphaned elephants in herds so they can be released back into the wild. But can a group of these older orphans show the empathy needed to save a very special baby? This is Ndoto. He's just a year old and is one of the latest arrivals at the orphanage. Conservationist Giles Clark is joining head keeper Edwin Lesuchi at breakfast time.
He knows he wants to get some feed. Do you want to?
Oh my God. Hello, beautiful.
Can you try?
I can try. Okay, that's such a good boy. That is a serious bottle of milk. How much milk do they get?
He gets 4 pints every 3 hours.
I think you're finished, sweetheart.
Finished?
Just look how tiny that trunk is.
You can blow that trunk and that's how you get to make friends with them.
How do you make friends with them?
When you blow down the trunk, they get to identify your scent.
Really? You
And
blow
that's-
down their trunk?
Yeah, if they give it to you.
Okay. I can't just take it.
No. Sometimes if it's itchy, we assist them to scratch inside and they feel comfortable sometimes.
Does that feel good? Is that like having a scratch?
Yeah, it's like having a scratch inside.
Ndoto's been looked after at the orphanage for 12 months. His blanket is designed to recreate the warmth he would get if he still had his mum at his side. Just moments after his birth, Ndoto was found alone, confused and barely alive by local villagers who called in the team from the orphanage. Ndoto was the smallest baby they'd ever taken in, and they didn't think he'd survive. But he was a fighter, and with their specialist care, he pulled through. A year later, Ndoto is fighting fit, but if he's ever going to make it back into the wild, it's crucial he starts spending quality time with the other orphans. Scientists now know that elephants live in sophisticated social groups. It's thanks to their emotional intelligence that they have such a strong sense of community, a strict hierarchy, and intricate ways of communicating. In the herd, it's the adult elephants that teach the babies this code of conduct. But there's a problem. Ndoto thinks he's already in a herd, but that herd is made up of the humans that saved his life. This means he now prefers the company of people rather than his own kind.
What is he doing, Edwin?
Just playing and enjoying being with us.
Just having the contact.
Yeah. Baby elephants, when you squat down, you are a toy to them.
So they want to play.
They want to play
They want to push you
by
around.
pushing you around. Yeah. Him coming to push is just sort of fun or play.
Okay.
He's not like charging you.
No, he's not being naughty. Oh, here we go.
Pushing now?
Yeah, he's gonna.
Oops.
Oh.
Don't push. It's a serious game.
Yeah. He's seriously strong. I'm trying not to push back.
Okay, enough.
Enough. Yeah, thank you.
Enough. You're too strong for us. We give up for you.
Play is an important part of growing up. But Ndoto has no idea that if he doesn't learn the rules of how to behave as an elephant, he risks being shunned by the herd, which could be disastrous.
If an elephant is left alone, that elephant can easily be stressed to death by loneliness.
You really think an elephant can die of loneliness?
Yes. I have seen it happen.
They almost like give up the world to live.
Give up the world to live because they think they're all by themselves. They don't have anyone with them, and they just die from a heart broken. Undoto cannot survive by himself. He needs the company of all the others.
Edwin and the team are hoping that a group of older orphans will come to Undoto's rescue, and that thanks to their extraordinary emotional intelligence, they'll be able to understand what he's been through and teach him what he needs to know.
Good boy.
Tomorrow, Undoto will have to find the courage to bond with the herd. He'll face that challenge alone, but tonight, keeper Julius Chevega will sleep here too.
Well, I'm going to say goodnight.
Yeah, very sweet baby. High five. You can blow his trunk. He says goodbye. Okay? Nice keeper, nice friend of ours. Okay?
Alrighty, thank you so much.
Thank you again, Charles. He loves you because you have got a feeling for him. That's good.
Don't make me
Thank
cry.
you, man. See you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll be back later in the program to see if the other elephants will show Undoto the emotional intelligence, empathy, and the encouragement he needs to become part of their herd. Finally, back in Kenya, it's a big day for a small elephant. For the past year, baby Undoto has been cared for by his keepers at the elephant orphanage. But if he's going to survive back in a wild herd, he's going to have to learn how to live with other elephants. Today, we'll see whether the herd of 29 older orphans show a form of emotional intelligence, empathy, when they meet up with him. Will they give him the confidence he needs to leave his human carers and start his journey to become a wild elephant? Baby Undoto is on his way to meet his new family.
Everywhere you look, there's just elephants walking through the bush.
Giles Clark is back with them. Undoto's always preferred to spend his time with people. But Keeper Edwin's convinced all that can change.
Do we think that the other elephants are really going to be able to teach Undoto what's needed?
Yeah, they are out. They will be able to teach him what is needed because they know he's an orphan as well like them.
The time has come. The orphans have arrived. For the plan to work, Undoto will have to be brave enough to move away from his keepers and towards the herd. This is his big chance. The enthusiastic orphans seem keen to take on their new pupil. Unfortunately, Undoto doesn't want to join in. He keeps running off. Things aren't going to plan.
He's always so determined to follow the keepers.
Yeah.
Edwin and the team are desperate to see Undoto have the physical contact that the other orphans have with each other.
That interaction, touching and playing is very important because they get to learn from one another and socialize with one another.
Okay.
But despite everyone's efforts, Undoto still wants to spend his time with people.
Have time, have your
some
sweet time and play together very well. See you later. Don't come with me.
No. Okay.
After nearly an hour, it looks like there might be a breakthrough. Mbegu is a young female who, like Undoto, has suffered. She was rescued from angry villagers who had killed her mother in front of her. In a wild herd, female elephants will look out for any youngsters. Mbegu has met Ndoto before.
Mbegu has gone directly to Ndoto.
Yeah, straight round, straight to him.
Maybe she knows he needs reassurance. Amazingly, this time Ndoto stays right where he is.
Mbegu tries to see the trunk, the rest of the body, touching on Ndoto, just to reassure, just to reconfirm that all is okay.
You can see Ndoto really leaning his head up against her back leg.
You know, like sometimes when a human child is with the mother, the baby or the human child will want to touch on somewhere on the mother's body. So like that's what Ndoto is doing.
Experts are only beginning to understand how Mbegu is tuned in to what Ndoto is feeling.
Do you think that Mbegu somehow knows the trauma that Ndoto has gone through in the past, and that's part of the reason that she feels the need to embrace and take care of him?
Yes. They will tend to remember everything that happened in their lives, and that's why Mbegu still knows or remembers what happened to her and her mother. And that's why she extends the love to the other orphans who come in, because she knows what they've gone through.
Mbegu is showing a level of empathy scientists used to believe only humans were capable of. With Mbegu at his side, by the end of the day, Ndoto is bonding with the other orphans. And he's learning to copy the way she pulls up the tastiest grass roots. Although he does have a little way to go.
That's right. Okay.
But Ndoto certainly hasn't lost his love of people.
Okay.
He's making good progress, with Mbegu watching his every move.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's time to say goodbye to this determined little orphan. It seems that Mbegu can also sense that human emotions are running high.
Okay.
She gives Giles that all-important sign that she trusts him. With Mbegu's extraordinary ability to understand Ndoto's needs, his journey back to the wild has begun. But 1,000 miles away, in Nassau in the Bahamas, there's a seriously clever raccoon who's been making headlines. Beneath these sheets is a wild raccoon that's taken its relationship with humans to a whole new level. This is Pumpkin. She is 13 months old and lives with, and often on, Laura Young. Laura's family found Pumpkin with a broken leg after she fell out of a tree. Laura nursed her back to health, and although Pumpkin can return to the wild whenever she wants, she clearly prefers domesticated life with Laura and her dog.
Come on, Pumpkin. She loves legs, any style, anyway. But sunny side up is her favorite because of the yolk. Yeah.
It's becoming clear why Pumpkin prefers living here to the wild.
Raccoons are famously intelligent. What's it like sharing your home with such an intelligent animal?
Every single day, it's a new adventure. She's always up to something. She's always trying to get into different things. She's always trying to open our doors. Our entire house has to be baby-proofed because of her. She's so intelligent, and she's always figuring out new little things. Every day is something new.
What's she doing now? She's so clever, she's decided she wants to do some reading.
Yeah. One of the things that she's taught herself to do is actually pee in the toilet. So she knows how to go up to it, pees, but she hasn't learned how to flush it yet. So we'll see if that ever happens.
She's definitely not boring.
Not at all. Every day, we're running after her.
Yeah.
It's like having a 2-year-old permanently.
It's clear to see how stimulating Laura's house is for Pumpkin. She wants to touch and sniff everything, which can be a bit scary. And Pumpkin doesn't even need to see what she's pulling apart. Scientists have discovered that a raccoon's paws have more sensory receptors than almost any other mammal.
The raccoon's brain is actually shaped to respond to tactile stimulation. So what that means is when they put their hand on something, they can basically see it. Their brain sees it. So it has an outline of what the object is in their brain.
When you see Pumpkin's phenomenal dexterity combined with her ability to climb, it's understandable why Laura has to tie up or completely remove all of the handles in her kitchen. You wouldn't want this lady around your best crockery. Pumpkin's instincts drive her to investigate everything, including Laura's cupboards. But when there's a human to provide all her catering needs, it's hardly surprising this raccoon is showing little interest in life back in the wild. And just when you thought they couldn't get any smarter, there's another one across the water in Florida. With 3 million hits on the internet, Roxy the raccoon has become a bit of a social media sensation.
What are you doing?
Although this behavior may simply look cute, what's truly remarkable is this could be evidence of tool use in a raccoon, which we know is only normally associated with the most intelligent animals.
She gets a rock and knocks on my door.
Roxy, using a stone to bang on the glass to call for her dinner, suggests just how clever this wild animal has become. The behavior of Toronto's raccoons and the antics of Pumpkin and Roxy helps prove that wild animals become more intelligent when they master human environments. We're heading to Cambodia, where another surprisingly smart animal is helping to save lives. A long history of conflict in this country has left it devastated by landmines. Finding these mines has relied upon experts in body armor painstakingly sweeping with metal detectors. But it's estimated that 5 million deadly devices still litter the countryside. Removing mines is dangerous and expensive, but that's about to change. Patrick Ahi is about to meet a crack detection squad flown in from Tanzania. And these guys are totally unique. They're rats, which are known for their high intelligence and for having a sharper sense of smell than dogs. From a few weeks old, these rats have been trained to sniff out TNT, the explosive found in landmines. They're not your common urban rat, but African giant poached rats. They have successfully detected thousands of mines in Africa, and now Cambodia is hoping to deploy 16 of these extraordinary animals. Patrick is with team leader Thiap Bunthorn, also known as BT, and his trainee.
Who do we have here and why is she playing in this giant sandpit?
Her name is Layla. We put her in this to train to find the landmines.
The team have buried 3 dummy landmines in this sandbox. Each mine contains a minuscule trace of TNT.
That nose, it's always sniffing, smelling the area, smelling the ground, sniffing the air.
Layla's handler, Mark Shakuru, is using a wire attached to her harness to guide her systematically over the entire area. And because of the tape measure from the guide wire, he knows when she is above one of the deactivated mines. Mark's eyes are fixed on Layla as he waits for her to give him the signal. But of course, He doesn't speak rat.
When they sense the smell of TNT, she starts putting her nose into the air, and then she starts to scratch.
When Layla scratches the ground like this, she's indicating that she's found explosives.
You hear the sound.
So it was scratching on the ground, and we heard that click.
When she hears a click from Mark, she knows that she will be rewarded with a peanut or banana. It's thanks to their intelligence that these rats can be trained with food and a click so easily from a young age. Over time, the handlers reduce the TNT concentrations that the rats are exposed to until they can detect a mine buried 30 centimeters under the ground.
Isn't it unfair on these rats to be putting them in such danger?
It's not because they are lighter. They cannot detonate a landmine. Because in order to detonate a landmine, you need at least 5 kgs.
These rodents typically weigh in at around 1 kilo, which is one of the key reasons why Layla is considered better suited to be a mine detector than a dog.
Can we actually see if she's getting this right? Because you're telling me this, but I want to actually see if it's true. Yeah, I don't believe it just yet. You haven't got me just yet. So let's see if Layla got it right.
When a rat indicates a landmine, disposal experts will carefully probe, then dig around the object to reveal it.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Okay, now you see.
Mark knows that the relationship between a rat and its handler could be the difference between life and death.
When we go for the operational, in the real minefield, there is no markings over there. No one knows where is a mine. So you have to rely on your rat. You're working as a team.
Layla has proved that she can pinpoint TNT in an isolated pit, and she's happy doing it. But in the real world, there will be other smells that can confuse these rats.
Wow.
Mark's colleague, Sharima Vandeleen, is putting another African rat through a different stage of training. Because it was raised in Tanzania, this rat needs a crash course in the smells and sounds of Cambodia.
This is something completely new. There are new sights, smells. I can smell motorbikes, food, spices.
This is vital training to ensure that rats aren't distracted when searching for TNT. Compared to us, these rats have 50 times the number of smell receptors in their nose. So it's understandable that this rat's whiskers have gone into overdrive. As news spreads of the hero rats, many of the locals are seeing what they once saw as vermin in a new light.
It's nice, yeah? Yes.
But not everyone is ready to get up close and personal with a kilo of rodent.
You want to say hello? Touch it. No? Hey.
Whilst the kids are inquisitive about the giant rat, the adults may take more convincing. Finally, it's back to rat boot camp for a well-earned sleep. After 12 months of training, the hero rats are just weeks from active service. Training in a sandpit is one thing, but it's vital the rats are used to working in a training field that more closely resembles the Cambodian countryside, with all the other smells that could distract these super sniffers. To make it more realistic, the team has buried all kinds of things, including discarded metal objects, which you'd typically find in the ground with mines. These objects force a human team with metal detectors to stop and carefully dig each object up, wasting valuable time. But how will the rats cope?
So here you've also got other metal fragments.
Yes, because we want to confuse the rats.
Ah.
The first decoy is a tin can. And it's right under her nose. But she's not fooled.
Brilliant.
But will she locate the dummy mine with a newcomer at the reins? Even with a novice like Patrick in charge, Layla quickly goes to work.
She's got that nose in the air. Layla's scratching. That's a landmine. Hey, well done.
Time for a nutty reward.
There you go.
Layla doesn't miss a single marker in the whole area.
It would take these rats about, 15, 20 minutes to search an area, 200 square meters, whereas it would take a human team 5 days.
Yes.
It's so amazing.
These hero rats, with their astonishing sense of smell, have already helped clear 13,000 landmines from Mozambique, rendering the country mine-free.
I hope that this tool can assist a lot in Cambodia so the people can get their lands.
To get their lives back.
Yeah, and the lives better off.
All because of one small rat.
Yes, you are right.
Layla and her sniffing bomb squad are now successfully deployed on their first official tour of duty in Cambodia. Next, we're in Kenya to meet Zachariah Muta, who for the last 6 years has been looking after an extremely important elderly rhino. Sudan is the only male northern white rhino left on Earth. With a maximum lifespan of 50 years, at 42, he's the equivalent of an 80-year-old man.
I feel very close to Sudan. He's my closest friend. We don't want him to get extinct. So I really take very great care of him.
All the world's 5 species of rhinos are under threat from poachers, but none more so than the northern white. They are completely extinct in the wild. There are now only 3 left in captivity: Sudan and 2 females. These last survivors are highly protected at the Old Pejeta Conservancy in Kenya. On the black market, rhino horn is now more valuable than diamonds, so the trio are under 24-hour armed guard.
This is Sudan.
Conservationist Giles Clark has come to meet Zachariah in Sudan.
He's the last of his kind. Must feel like an awful lot of responsibility taking care of Sudan.
We really love him very much, so we really take care of him just like elderly people.
Wild male rhinos can be aggressive, but Sudan is used to his human protectors and is approachable when Zachariah is nearby.
He knows you very well.
Yeah, rhinos, they have got very good sense of smell and hearing, so they can recognize a keeper and a newcomer.
Okay.
Yeah,
so he knows the difference between us.
Yes.
He's not quite sure of me yet, but you're definitely a friend.
Yes. That's what makes me feel happy to be so close to Sudan.
The phrase "last chance to see" is often overused, but in this case, it could be true. Sudan spent most of his life in a Czech Republic zoo. He was part of a captive breeding program including the 2 females, Najin and Fatu. After 9 years of failed breeding attempts, in an ambitious last-ditch effort, they were airlifted to Africa and returned to their natural habitat in the hope they would reproduce. Richard Vine is CEO of the Conservancy.
For all of them, their condition improved sort of almost overnight. So their toenails got better and stopped cracking, and their skin condition looked better. So it was obviously something that suited them about coming back to Africa.
Sudan, the only one of the trio to have been born in the wild, had a new lease of life among the other rhinos in the reserve.
He established a territory, he fought with other males in the area when he first came here. He's acted as a territorial male and he's mated, but he's never successfully got females pregnant.
Over the next 6 years, hopes that Sudan could help save his kind began to fade. As he got older, the young females began to bully him. So Sudan was moved into a retirement paddock on his own, where he now depends on Zachariah and his team for everything.
He's going blind in one eye. He's struggling to walk. So his relationship with people like Zach and other keepers is fundamentally important for his welfare. He's old, he relies upon them for his food and for company. It's enormously important.
Despite his ailments, Sudan is not in pain and has all the food, comfort, love and support an old man needs in his final years.
I better die first before Sudan. Yeah, because I don't want to lose him. I'll feel so sad. I'll feel so sad.
It's completely obvious just what a close bond Zach and Sudan have. Sudan's welfare and his psychological needs are being met by this special friendship. Tragically, at 42, Sudan's breeding days are now over. As things stand, he will be the last male northern white rhino to walk on Earth.
It's so amazing but so sad because he's too old enough, but we still had hope that he can still exist. He looks very healthy, he's in good condition, so he might live after 50.
However long Sudan has left, it's obvious that this gentle giant could not be more loved.
He's a good boy. Wow. Look at the size of that mouth. It's amazing to be this close. Such a handsome boy. I've got no idea just how significant you are.
However, there is a glimmer of hope. These rhinos are the focus of pioneering scientific endeavor, which has been used successfully with a giant panda. Existing frozen northern white rhino sperm could still be used to save the species. But the clock is ticking. Rhinos have existed for 40 million years, but it's only in the last 100 years that we have been responsible for their tragic demise. "2,000 miles away, in a secret location in South Africa, there is some encouraging news about our relationship with the southern white rhino. This is Ike. He was left for dead after poachers attacked him and removed his horn. Vet Gerard Steenkamp was first on the scene.
It's quite obvious that he was a fighter. He wanted to live. And just like in humans, I think that makes a huge difference. If you have a patient that is willing to fight.
Since then, Gerard and his team of vets have struck up a remarkable relationship with Ike. The biggest challenge was making sure Ike's wound did not get infected and healed as soon as possible. So they needed a really heavy-duty dressing that would stay on the end of a rhino's face. 8 days ago, Gerard sedated Ike and attached a state-of-the-art fiberglass dressing to his wound. Biologist Patrick Aye has joined Ranger Steve Dell to try and get a close look at the patient. He's a wild animal, so they have to be careful. As they enter the enclosure, Ike is on the far side. Any fears that Steve had that Ike was not on the mend quickly disappear as Ike's 2.5-ton bulk stirs from his slumbers.
We are going to have to go out.
Steve is concerned about their safety, and they make a rapid exit to the other side of the fence. Ike certainly seems to have recovered well.
It's okay, you coming to say hello, my boy?
There's a good boy. Easy, my boy.
Look how magnificent he is. He's huge.
He's coming, he's coming.
They get a good look at Gerard's handiwork.
That's it. I can see it's fraying a little bit, but it's still on, which is a good sign. The longer it stays on, the better, I'm sure, in terms of the healing process. He is going to be a survivor, for sure.
The dedication of Gerard and his team has paid off. but tragically, Ike is unlikely to be their last patient. The rhino poaching crisis has reached a tipping point. Now, for the first time, more rhinos are being killed than are being born. These are three of the most recent casualties: PJ, Lizzie, and Monty. They're all orphans, but thanks to Amy Coy, they still have a chance.
It's heartbreaking, and it makes me angry that we can't protect the animals, that we cannot stop a young rhino from losing its mother. It's terrible. It makes you angry and it makes you sad at the same time. I get very emotional.
Amy's plan is to raise them at her farm until they are old enough to go to a reserve where they will get the protection they need. In the meantime, they seem pretty happy with their lot.
PJ, Monty, come. Come. Come, you want milk? Come. Come, let's go get milk. Come. Boys, come, come.
Baby rhinos use this high-pitched squeak to communicate with their mum. And they don't hesitate to let their human mum know when they are peckish. The babies here drink 15 litres of milk twice a day. Patrick's feeding 4-month-old Lizzie.
Come, PJ.
And do I have to squeeze it as she's suckling?
No, she'll suck.
She'll suck it
all
up.
by herself, yeah.
Wow. You are a hungry girl, aren't you? It's remarkable to think that this whole poaching crisis comes down to this right here. The rhino horn is made out of keratin, the same material that horses' hooves are made out of, and even our fingernails. So really, it is worthless.
There is no doubt that we are responsible for the plight of this majestic animal. Thanks to Zachariah, Herat, and Amy, there are at least some rhinos that are safe for now. If we can save this iconic species, then there may be hope for the many other endangered animals with which we share the planet. Back in the UK, Birdland in Gloucestershire is home to Britain's only breeding programme for endangered king penguins. Here, one man has been on an extraordinary mission to try and teach a penguin how to swim.
Hello.
Zoologist Lucy Cook is joining head keeper Alistair Keane with very special penguin Charlotte.
Our 14-month-old king penguin.
Hello, Charlotte. Nice to meet you.
Charlotte had an unusual start in life.
She was laid as an egg last year by Frank and Lily, and within 24 hours Frank had dropped and broken the egg. So we had to take the egg away and repair it with a little bit of super glue.
Wow, you can do that?
Yeah.
You can repair an egg with super glue?
Yeah, as long as it's not too big a crack.
If penguin parents drop an egg, they tend to abandon it. So Charlotte became Alistair's responsibility.
I like to talk to the egg because the parents would call to the chick.
Do you talk to it in a human voice or in a penguin?
I just talk to it as I normally would, like I'm talking to you now. So sort of, keep going, chick, I'll see you soon, and things like that.
Aww.
Sounds really silly, I know.
When birds hatch from their egg, they form an immediate bond with the first living creature they see. It's known as imprinting. The first thing Charlotte saw wasn't her mum, it was Alistair.
As far as she's concerned, I'm mum and dad. She's got to give me grandchildren, so to speak, in the next few years.
By 6 months, Charlotte was fully grown, with a thick coat of brown, downy feathers, perfectly adapted to keep her warm as she developed.
That's her begging for you, isn't it? She's going, Dad, feed me, feed me.
Come and give me some more food.
And like any typical king penguin chick, at 12 months, Charlotte's coat molted and she started to transform into the stunning adult she is today.
All right, Charlotte. So I think you're getting 5 stars as a penguin parent from what I can see.
Yeah, we got so far so good. And then we hit a snag in the fact that she just would not go in the pool.
Oh no, but she's a penguin.
I know, everyone would think they'd take to it really easily, but she was having none of it. She'd watch everyone else going for a swim. She would not go in.
Despite Alistair's best efforts, Charlotte could not be coaxed into the water. What was going on? In the wild, it's very important that king penguin chicks avoid water while they're still wearing their brown coat of baby feathers. It's warm, but it's not waterproof. So if it gets wet in the icy waters of the Antarctic, the chicks can drown or die of hypothermia. Only when they get their waterproof adult plumage do they pluck up the courage to take the plunge. What surprised Alistair was that although Charlotte's body was fully equipped to swim, her mind was clearly saying no. Perhaps penguin expert Professor Rory Wilson can shed light on Charlotte's strange behaviour.
Rory, are you surprised by Charlotte's fear of water?
A bit surprised, but not hugely. It's a big deal if you're a penguin, from being a woolly, fluffy thing that lives on land, and there's this terrible transition period where you have to do it. It's like bungee jumping. So I think there's a lot of fear there.
So what do the parents do in terms of encouraging them into the water?
They're brutal. It's tough love and it's do or die. The king penguin chicks, they actually go through the whole winter starving. They'll get the odd meal from their parents. They'll go down to about 7 kilograms, really, really thin and miserable.
It's hunger that drives young penguins to overcome their fears and into the sea to catch fish. But Alistair wasn't prepared to take this tough love approach with Charlotte. He'd have to find another way to get her to swim.
First thing we tried to do is push her in. And she jumped straight back out, had none of that.
No matter how hard he tried, it became clear that gentle persuasion wasn't going to work. Alistair had to resort to more dramatic methods.
We've got a rock in the middle of the pool. I took her and sat her on the rock, so she had to get wet to get back out.
After hours of intense encouragement, Charlotte decided to take control of her fear.
It's the only time I've ever seen a king penguin with both feet off the ground. She went in feet first. Almost a cannonball.
Alistair and Charlotte had cracked it. And once she was in the water, Charlotte's instinct to swim kicked in. 4 months later on, thanks to Alistair's coaching, Charlotte loves nothing more than a dip in the pool.
She's getting very good now. She's the first one in there most days, last one out.
You're a proud dad.
Proud dad, yeah.
In the French Alps, a remarkable relationship between a man and a white-tailed eagle is for the first time revealing a deeper understanding of the species, so that captive bred eagles can be taught everything they need to know to survive in the wild. From teaching them how to fly in dangerous terrain, to teaching them how to catch fish for themselves. This unlikely pairing is not only changing the way we think about birds, but also helping secure the survival of the species from extinction. With a wingspan of almost 2.5 meters, the white-tailed eagle is the largest eagle in Europe. These aerial masters are born with impressive anatomy. Their wings are built to soar on thermals. Their eyesight so sharp they can spot prey on the ground with pinpoint accuracy. And to bring home their target, they have powerful talons, capable of a deadly snatch and grab, whether that be with fish or small mammals. Until recently, scientists believed it would be impossible to teach captive-bred eagles enough skills to successfully hunt and survive on their own. But professional falconer Jacques-Olivier Travers is turning that thinking on its head. He's developed a technique that is starting to show signs that it can be done, that captive-bred eagles can be taught to master the secrets of survival.
If these birds are trained to fish, trained to fly, they have more chance to survive into the wild. After 1 or 2 years, you can have babies in the wild, which is the goal.
White-tailed eagles are skilled hunters. But the hunters became the hunted. Seen as a threat to livestock in Britain and as vermin in France, they were wiped out in both countries by the early 20th century. Now the only white-tailed eagles in France are in aviaries or zoos.
I discovered this bird in a book. I say, wow, I never see this bird, I want to see one. And I have to wait for a long time, more than 20 years, to see my first one. But when I discover this bird, I fall in love with him. And I thought I have to do something for this bird because it disappeared because of us, because we kill all of them.
So Jacques-Olivier decided he needed to do something. But where do you begin? Well, it may seem obvious, but it's with flying. And for a man to teach an eagle how to fly, Jacques-Olivier has to think like an eagle and fly like one, even if that means taking to the air with a paraglider. Flying in captivity is very different to flying in the wild.
A bird who is born in captivity knows how to go from point A to point B, but to use the thermal, to use the wind, to use the mountains, everything, the paraglider is the best thing. I did many big flights from Mont Blanc, to cross the channel between England and France, in Africa, to prove that my birds fly like a wild one.
It seems the eagles not only view Jacques-Olivier as their mentor on the ground, but in the air too. They form a strong bond.
What is amazing, it's the 3-4 weeks when he starts to fly, I'm better than him. But after 1 month, they fly so well that I can't follow them.
A tiny harness camera on their back gives Jacques-Olivier an amazing insight into what it's like to be an eagle.
The first time you're on the back of a bird, you can feel what he feels. Scientists start to think that, okay, we are right, but we can teach a bird to fly and to hunt. And now they start to support us, and we expect that in 1 or 2 years we can do the first real try into the wild to reintroduce adult birds born in captivity, that we teach them to fly and to hunt.
With the basics of wild flight successfully learnt, Jacques-Olivier realized that if he could now just teach his birds how to hunt for fish, the goal of releasing eagles to the wild would be within reach. But that is easier said than done, because eagles learn by imitation, copying how their parents hunt. And it turned out that his captive-bred eagles are frightened of the water.
At the beginning I thought, oh, it's a fish eagle, he would like to go underwater. But no, it's scared by the water because he never sees the water in his life. And I had to teach him that it's not dangerous, that he can go, but the prey are in the water. It's why it's very important to teach them.
So Jacques-Olivier started with the basics, using safe, unthreatening environments.
Small pool, bigger pool, lake, and small piece of fish, real fish, live fish. It's different step. It's a sophisticated movement. He has to control his wings movement, his legs movement, talent movement in the same second. It's very quick.
Eventually, the eagles begin to realize what they needed to do in order to get food for themselves.
he can catch live fish in a training pool. But the last step will be live fish in a big lake, because when he knows to do that, he don't need me and he will go back to the wild.
Jacques Olivier's unique bond with his birds is vital for preparing the way for a new life in the wild. But to be sure they can cope with any situation, they have one last lesson to learn before they can be set free: advanced flight. In the toughest part of an eagle's natural habitat, the mountains. Up here, the birds must be able to cope with treacherous strong winds and other extreme weather conditions. We'll join him later in the program when one of his eagles takes on the ultimate flying challenge. Next, we're back in France, following the extraordinary story of how a bird that was eradicated from the country over 100 years ago is on the verge of being reintroduced. Professional falconer Jacques-Olivier Travers is the man behind that plan. Through his special relationship with white-tailed eagles, he's managed to develop a technique that is hoped will allow captive bred eagles to be released and to survive in the wild. The technique requires 9 months of one-on-one training. First, he teaches the eagles the basics of wild flying over difficult terrains. Then, how to hunt for themselves. But before the eagles are considered ready for release, the birds must pass one last test: flying in difficult weather conditions, high in the mountainous ski resort of Morzine. Jacques-Olivier is taking his latest pupil up to 1,500 meters for the final test. It's on the upper extreme of an eagle's natural habitat. But if a bird that has been hand-raised can fly here, it can fly anywhere.
When you are in mountain during winter, it's a bad environment because the wind comes down the mountains and push the eagle in the valley. He can't fly very well. He has to do big effort to stay in the mountain to control his flight. And it's one of the most difficult exercises that I can do with a bird. But when he's able to do that, it means that he flies like a wild one.
This eagle is trained to fly to Jacques-Olivier on command. But up here, with high crosswinds and the added challenge of having to avoid the potentially fatal overhead cables, the stakes are high.
Up.
The eagle launches its 4-kilogram body into the air, using its sheer power and primary flight feathers at the tips of the wings to become airborne.
As you can see, the wind is bad. It's difficult for him to stay. You can see that he flies so slowly because the wind is bad. You have to control his flight. No, it's good. It's good.
The rapid descent is the toughest challenge yet. Air currents become unstable the closer it gets to the ground. These conditions are exactly like those the eagles will have to master if they're ever able to catch prey on their own.
Yeah, he's coming back now. It's perfect. Up, Victor, up!
Even in these blustery conditions, the eagle is able to slow himself down from a 60-mile-per-hour dive to land precisely on Jacques-Olivier's hand.
Hey, Victor! Nice work, because today, as you can see, it's not very good weather condition for flying. On the top of the mountain, the wind was bad, he was pushing down, but he worked hard to turn in bad weather condition, follow us. Now he's ready to go into the wild for sure.
Introducing captive bred animals to the wild successfully is one of the hardest things to do in wildlife conservation. But through the dedication of one man and his extraordinary relationship and understanding of his birds, the white-tailed eagle could soon, once again, be flying free in the French Alps. Next, we're on the other side of the world, in Australia. It's a continent not unknown for its unique and rather strange animals. And none are stranger than perhaps the macropods, such as kangaroos and wallabies, both of which developed large feet, strong, long tails, and an ability to hop huge distances through the outback. But head into the lush Australian rainforest, and you might be surprised to discover there is a kangaroo that has evolved to live in trees. It's known as the tree kangaroo. Today, conservationist Giles Clark is meeting Margit Cianelli. She spends her time raising orphaned tree kangaroos to help them get back into the wild.
Was that her?
It could have been.
We're about to meet Kimberly.
I saw a tail then.
Yeah.
Margit is a former zookeeper, and over the years as a surrogate mum, has successfully released 15 tree kangaroos back into the wild.
Oh, wow. Hello, sweetheart. So this is Kimberly.
Yeah, isn't she gorgeous?
I think she's coming down. She's heard you.
Kimberly has lived in Margit's house for over 2 years,
Good girl.
and she's learnt how to use her paws to help her slide down a tree. Tail first, just like a wild tree kangaroo.
Good girl, Kimberly.
Oh,
Look, this is Charles.
hello.
Isn't she gorgeous?
Isn't she beautiful?
Almost home.
Walking home with a kangaroo on your head is just an everyday experience for Margit. And so, it seems, is sitting down to have tea with one.
Just so surreal. Completely normal, I'm sure, for you, but this is definitely not a typical evening.
Kimberly is just 2.5 years old. In the wild, she would stay with her mother until around the age of 3, the longest in the kangaroo family. So while she spends her days in the forest, she still prefers to spend her nights with her surrogate mum.
What's her story? How did she end up in your care?
She actually fell into a local swimming hole out of a tree and obviously would have drowned. I mean, she was only 7 months old.
All attempts to reunite Kimberly with her mother failed, so Margit took on the job.
This is a good exercise.
She would need to help Kimberly build up her muscles if she was to get back into the trees. Once she'd mastered the basics inside the house, Margit let her loose on her own handmade jungle gym. Margit has also been teaching Kimberly what to eat.
You get your green soup in a minute. Maybe Charles can give you your green soup.
This green soup is Kimberly's favourite and provides her with extra fluid and nutrients.
Doesn't look like my idea of delicious, but...
She likes it that way.
Next, she has to learn what the leaves she will need to eat in the wild look and smell like.
You're just an eating machine, aren't you?
And when she's fed, it's time to hop up to bed.
Alrighty, good night.
Sleep
See you
well
later in
then.
the morning.
Good night.
A tree kangaroo's sleep pattern is very different to ours. In the wild, their low-calorie diet means they eat little and often, so they only sleep in short bursts of up to an hour at a time, and that makes getting a good night's rest not that easy for Margit.
Hello.
Hello, Missy.
Good morning. I'm just fascinated in the way in which she gets around. It's this sort of half walk, half hop
When she hops, the tail never touches the ground. See how she...
Unlike her ground-dwelling kangaroo cousins who can only hop, tree kangaroos can move their legs independently. It gives them greater mobility. But Margit wants Kimberly to spend less time walking on her kitchen floor and more time climbing up in the trees.
Good girl.
Today, a tiny lightweight camera is being attached to Kimberly's tracking collar.
Okay.
This will give an opportunity to see the world from Kimberly's perspective, and importantly for Margit, to see if she has what it takes to survive in the wild.
Girl. Okay, we better go.
Off the ground, it becomes clear just how agile Kimberly really is.
Oh, look at her go.
She's perfectly adapted to life in the trees.
I'm mesmerised. Just how quickly she got up the tree.
She knows how to distribute her weight. 6.5 kilos, and she's just standing literally on twigs. Yeah, look at her balancing.
It's extraordinary. Well, she's definitely at home in the tree. She knows where she wants to go.
To reach the tastiest leaves at the top of the tree, Kimberly will have to climb the height of a 6-story building. It's way beyond what can be seen from ground level.
Have a look.
Reviewing the camera footage later that night reveals the surprising secrets of Kimberly's abilities.
Look how high she is. Almost makes me dizzy when she looks down.
Yeah.
Right up in the canopy.
Her speed along branches is so impressive compared to her awkward movements on the ground.
Oh man, she moves around so quick.
I must say, I'm a bit surprised by that. She's more active than
you anticipated?
Yeah.
Oh.
Kimberly was up in the trees for almost 10 hours, during which time she more than proved she was ready for life in the wild.
You can see that she's eating here. You can hear it.
It's just amazing.
And she's so fussy. She picks and sniffs lots of them, but only eats certain ones.
It takes Margit around 2 years to teach her orphans all the skills they need to survive. But for Kimberly, her days at school are nearly over.
You can't help but feel she's nearly there. It shouldn't be too much longer, and she'd be making that choice to stay out. I'm going to stay out tonight, Mum.
Yes, and I'm ready for it. I'm proud of her. I love her, and she can do it all, even though she didn't have a real mum.
Oh, she's got a real mum. You just don't have a big tail.
Thanks.